Aprilia just delivered the kind of Sunday performance that teams only dream about, and at Le Mans of all places on French soil in front of a crowd that knows it's racing. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The most dominant Sunday of their entire 2026 season so far. Jorge Martin, riding the Aprilia RS-GP26, finally broke through for his first Grand Prix victory with the factory. Not a sprint, not a flash of speed, a full-length, 27-lap masterpiece. Marco Bezzecchi, his teammate, led most of that race, controlling the tempo, looking untouchable at times, only to be overtaken late by Martin in a move that felt like a changing of the guard inside the garage. And then there was Ayumu Sasaki. The Trackhouse rider, often overshadowed by the factory names, climbed onto the third step of the podium. His first ever MotoGP rostrum. That meant 3 Aprilias in the top 3, 2 from the factory team, 1 from the satellite squad, all running at the sharp end together. The result didn't just extend Aprilia's lead in the championship, it confirmed their structural grip on the entire field. Every strategic decision the team made over the last 12 months looked validated. The aerodynamics, the rider contracts, the development path, all of it. Pecco Bagnaia, who started from pole, was running third when he lost the front on lap 16 and slid out. That crash effectively ended any serious challenge from Ducati on Sunday. Marc Márquez, of course, wasn't even on the grid, still recovering from a violent highside during the Le Mans sprint that will keep him out for at least 2 Grands Prix. So Aprilia walked away with a Saturday sprint win, a Sunday 1-2-3, and a championship picture that has tilted decisively in their favor. Let's walk through exactly how that French Grand Prix unfolded, what Jorge Martin's win means for the internal dynamics at Aprilia, and what the rest of the season looks like now that the Knoll factory's lead extends across both its factory and satellite operations. We're talking technical details, paddock politics, human stories, the full picture. Start with the race itself. Bagnaia on pole. Bezzecchi moved up to second on the grid after Marquez's withdrawal, originally having been third. Pedro Acosta on the KTM lined up third. Martin started from 8th on the third row, the exact same spot from which he'd won the sprint on Saturday. When the lights went out, the pattern established itself quickly. Acosta sat right behind the leading group. Martin began his methodical recovery from 8th. Bagnaia ran wide at turn 7 on lap 3, letting Bezzecchi keep the lead. And then the race settled into that familiar Aprilia versus Ducati rhythm that has defined the entire 2026 campaign. Then came lap 16. Bagnaia lost the front of his factory Ducati at turn 2, the bike dropped, his race was over. That single moment decided the Sunday outcome. With Bagnaia out, Bezzecchi stretched his lead at the front. Acosta stayed close in second. Martin kept carving through the field. By the closing laps of the 27-lap race, Martin had caught Acosta and then Bezzecchi. The decisive overtake came on lap 24. Martin went into turn 3, the same passing spot he'd used all weekend to perfection, and swept past Bezzecchi for the lead. Bezzecchi had no answer. Martin checked out, building a 6/10 advantage by the checkered flag. That gave Aprilia their first Grand Prix victory of 2026 in terms of that specific rider's classification, though it was actually Aprilia's third Sunday win of the season, following Bezzecchi's 3 earlier victories. But this one felt different. It was the factory team's most decisive Sunday performance of the year. Behind all that, Ai Ogura on the Trackhouse Aprilia delivered the surprise of the day. The Japanese rider, who is moving to Yamaha for 2027, started from a difficult position and simply worked his way up over 27 laps. He passed Acosta on lap 23 with a brilliant overtake that put him into third. He crossed the line there, claiming his first ever MotoGP podium. That's when the image became complete. 3 Aprilia bikes in the top 3, 2 factory. 1 satellite, a 1-2-3 formation that looked more like a parade than a battle. For Jorge Martin personally, this victory carries extra weight. The 2024 world champion has had a rough 2026 so far, a difficult Sepang test, an early season injury, a long physical rehabilitation that kept him from fully extracting what the RS-GP26 could offer. He won the sprint at Austin earlier in the year, but his Sunday Grand Prix results had been mixed. So this win at Le Mans is his first Grand Prix victory for Aprilia, his first since the 2024 season, and the clearest sign yet that the champion who won it all 2 years ago is genuinely back in title contention. After the race, Martin spoke carefully about his championship ambitions, but the numbers are already shifting. He's closed the gap to his teammate Bezzecchi to a manageable margin. And from here on out, the 2026 season genuinely looks like a 2-way Aprilia title fight. For Marco Bezzecchi, Sunday was bittersweet. The championship leader scored 20 points by finishing second, his best Sunday result of the season alongside his earlier wins. He extended his lead over the chasing pack, particularly Pedro Acosta and Fabio Di Giannantonio. But losing the lead to Martin in the closing stages on a circuit where Bezzecchi won back in 2023, that stings. And he knows it. Speaking publicly, Bezzecchi admitted he needs to improve under braking. That weakness was exactly what Martin exploited late in the race. The championship lead is still healthy, but Martin is now a real threat from inside his own garage. For Ai Ogura, third place is career-defining. First MotoGP podium, first podium for the Trackhouse Aprilia team, and confirmation that the satellite version of the RS-GP26 is just as competitive as the factory bikes. That makes his move to Yamaha for 2027 look even shrewder. Yamaha is getting a rider who has already proven he can run at the front on a top-tier machine. For Aprilia, the factory, Le Mans is the most decisive validation of their 2026 development direction. The new aerodynamic package introduced at the Jerez test, including those windscreen-mounted winglets, has worked seamlessly on both factory and satellite bikes. The RS-GP26 is now genuinely the benchmark of the entire MotoGP field. Massimo Rivola's approach, methodical development, refusing to declare a championship favorite too early, letting both factory riders race without team interference, is paying off in full. Rivola said earlier that team orders would only be considered if one rider were mathematically eliminated from the title race. That means the Bezzecchi versus Martin fight will continue without manipulation, all the way to Valencia if necessary. For the rest of the paddock, Aprilia's dominance has effectively ended any realistic title hopes. Marc Márquez sits 51 points behind Bezzecchi heading into the next round, and he'll lose more ground while missing at least 2 more races. Pedro Acosta, third in the championship after his fourth-place finish at Le Mans, is more than 40 points back. Fabio Di Giannantonio sits fourth, also far behind. Alex Marquez, who won in Spain, had a difficult weekend in France and is sixth overall. The competitive picture for 2026 has narrowed to 2 men, Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin, both on Aprilias, fighting each other. For Pecco Bagnaia, the Sunday crash compounds an already brutal 2026 season. He put his factory Ducati on pole on Saturday. He finished second in the sprint. He was running third in the Grand Prix, then he lost the front and retired. That pole was his first of the season. That sprint podium was his first of the season. And then the Sunday result wiped out most of that progress. The pattern tells a story. The GP26 has speed and its riders have moments of brilliance. But the execution over full Sunday race distance has been unreliable, especially when the front end starts to misbehave under pressure. For Ducati overall, the Le Mans weekend is genuinely alarming. Marc Márquez out for 2 races. Pecco Bagnaia retired from third. Fabio Di Giannantonio crashed early after a poor start. Alex Marquez finished outside the top 5. Firmin Aldiger struggled. The factory that built 6 consecutive Constructors' Championships is now watching Aprilia win every Sunday Grand Prix and extend their lead in the constructor standings. The 850cc 2027 project remains the strategic priority, but the current season is slipping away round by round. Looking ahead, the Catalan Grand Prix next weekend takes on enormous significance. Ducati needs Bagnaia to deliver a clean weekend. No crashes, no retirements. Aprilia, with both factory riders and Ogura on the satellite Trackhouse bike, will arrive at Barcelona as clear favorites. Then there's Mugello in 2 weeks. Historically a Ducati stronghold, their home circuit where the factory has always delivered. If Marc Márquez can return by Mugello, the dynamic shifts again. If he can't, Aprilia's lead will only grow. The next 2 race weekends will essentially define the trajectory of the rest of the 2026 season. So here's the question. Was Jorge Martin's Le Mans victory the moment that confirms he's a genuine title threat to Bezzecchi for the rest of the year? Or will Bezzecchi reassert control once the European stretch fully hits its rhythm? Has Aprilia's structural dominance, 3 bikes on the podium, a validated development direction, turned 2026 into a simple 2-way internal team fight? And with Marc Márquez out for 2 more rounds and Ducati struggling across the board, can any non-Aprilia rider realistically challenge that Bezzecchi versus Martin battle before the season ends? Drop your predictions in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more MotoGP coverage. I'll catch you in the next one.